All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're doing something pretty exciting. We are completely dismantling the illusion of external validation, and we're going to map out the ultimate journey to internal sovereignty. So, we'll be unpacking things like human magnetism, self leadership, and the specific mental frameworks that separate the true proactive creators of the world from the mere spectators.
I want you to think about this for a second. What costs more, taking a wrong step or looking back to realize you never moved at all? It's a seriously heavy question, right? Because so much of human behavior is just dictated by this paralyzing fear of doing the wrong thing or upsetting the status quo or, losing the applause of the crowd. We literally build prisons for ourselves out of other people's potential opinions. So today, we're going to break down exactly why living for that external mirror is the ultimate trap, and more importantly, how you can build a mindset that is entirely 100% outcome independent.
Okay, part one, the illusion of validation. You've probably heard this referred to as the nice guy trap. And look, this isn't just about dating. It is a massive behavioral pattern where a person operates strictly to seek approval and avoid friction. And the tragic irony here, that intense, burning desire for approval is exactly what completely paralyzes our ability to take any meaningful action. You know when you live for the mirror of others? When you're constantly agonizing over what people will think if you speak up, or make a move, or launch a project, you end up trapping yourself in this state of being a reactive spectator. You tell yourself, oh, I'm just waiting for the perfect moment, or I just need the right signal. But make no mistake, that is almost always just a mask for fear. If your actions are on pause because you're afraid of making someone else uncomfortable, you are quite literally placing their hypothetical opinions above your own actual reality. Now look at this stark dichotomy. It is acting to impress versus acting to express. On one side, acting to impress requires external validation. It breeds anxiety, and it ultimately causes paralysis. Because let's face it, you can't control how others perceive you. But on the other side, acting to express. This is proactive. It's fluid. It is entirely outcome independent. When you act to express, you are simply taking your internal reality and physically manifesting it into the real world, totally regardless of the applause or the boos. I absolutely love this quote. External approval is the cheapest and heaviest chain. If you buy it, it enslaves you. The wild paradox here is that the more you chase external approval, the less value it actually has. Think about it. The people judging you today won't even remember it tomorrow. And yet, if you buy into that judgment, it completely restricts your true potential. Which brings us to section 2, action is the truth. This is where we transition from understanding the trap we just talked about into the undeniable hard reality of physical execution. So here is the foundational law of this whole framework, and it is brutally simple. Action equals truth. Listen, your mind can lie to you. It's great at it. It can spin up infinite scenarios, endless excuses, and brilliant, flawless theories. But your actions cannot lie. Words, overanalysis, even pure intentions, they are entirely meaningless unless they are actually physically executed. The only real way to prove your internal reality is to physically put it out there in the world. Imperfect movement is worth more than perfect theory. It is so funny how our brains actually prefer the comfort of a flawless, unexecuted plan over a messy reality. But taking a messy, imperfect action, that gives you actual, tangible feedback from the real world. Waiting for perfection just keeps you completely stagnant. The world does not care what you're thinking about doing. It only responds to what you actually do. Just imagine standing in a room and you're telling yourself out loud, I can't turn on the light. I'm not ready. I don't know how. But while you're saying all that, your hand reaches out and flips the switch. What happens? The light still turns on. Your physical actions completely supersede whatever internal doubts, mental friction, or imposter syndrome you happen to be feeling. Action is literally the only evidence the universe recognizes. All right, let's move into section 3, the sovereign frame. Once you truly accept that action is the ultimate truth, you can start stepping into this incredible state of being. So what is the sovereign frame? Basically, it's a state of absolute outcome independence. When you're in this state, you operate with total fluidity. You aren't trying to manipulate a specific outcome, and you certainly aren't trying to impress anybody. You act purely to express your internal reality. And the best part, you do it without that exhausting mental friction of constantly second-guessing yourself. You actually become the source of your own validation. So what does it actually look like to live in this frame? Well, a truly sovereign individual operates with fluidity. Their internal filter is so incredibly strong that they just automatically reinterpret external noise. Like a strange look from someone or a flat-out rejection doesn't derail them. They just absorb it into their framework. They value respect way more than sympathy or just being liked. They never sit around waiting for the world to give them a green light. And lastly, they embrace failure. Not as some massive loss of identity, but simply as raw, necessary feedback.
Because when you're in this frame, as the saying goes, the market doesn't punish, it educates. That's a real game changer right there. A sovereign mind doesn't look at rejection or failure as a personal attack. They just view it as an education on how to navigate reality a bit more effectively the next time around. They drop the ego, they take the lesson, and they keep moving. Moving on to Section 4, Building the Nucleus. How do we take all this philosophical stuff and make it highly practical? How do we actually build this sovereignty? Well, we build the nucleus. Think of the nucleus as your internal filter, your daily operating system. It's the core that processes reality automatically for you, so you don't have to agonize over every single interaction. But here's the catch with this. You do not build the nucleus by sitting around reading theory. You forge it through daily, intentional exposure to the real world and strict internal discipline. So let's break down the actionable steps to build it. Step 1. Disconnect. You have to silence the external noise and distractions so you can actually hear your own internal voice. Step 2. Take daily microactions. You've got to expose yourself to the world every single day, and do it without waiting for those perfect signals. And step 3, which is absolutely crucial, review your actions at night, not the outcomes. When your head hits the pillow, you don't ask, did everyone like me today? No, you ask, did I act authentically today? Your focus has to remain on whether you executed your code, regardless of how the world responded. Now, think about this. Silence is invisible action. Sometimes simply not reacting to the chaos of the outside world, refusing to get dragged into drama, refusing to defend yourself to people who deliberately misunderstand you, that is the most powerful, sovereign action you can possibly take. Your silence and your quiet presence can carry significantly more weight than 1,000 anxious words ever could. I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with one final, provocative question to chew on. Are you building your own kingdom, or are you simply paying rent in someone else's reality? Every single day you wait around for external validation, you are handing over your power. But the exact moment you realize that action is truth and you start operating from your own sovereign frame, the world stops being something that just happens to you. It becomes the canvas on which you create. So think about that today. Go take a microaction. Stop paying rent. Start building.